welcome to my channel EWE once again. It means enjoy with English. In my previous video, I had discussed the first part of the story, The Last Leap. We had seen that Johnsy, the protagonist or main character in this story, has set up her mind in this way that she will die, and for that matter, though she is infected by pneumonia, as she has set up her mind in this way that she will die, the doctor has said that it actually enhances her chance of dying, because she has lost her interest in life. So today I am going to discuss the next portion of the story, The Last Leap. So let's start. So the doctor has asked Sue, Johnsy's friend, whether she has anything in her mind. Then Sue answers, she wanted to paint the Bay of Naples someday, said Sue. Paint? Plus, has she anything on her mind worth thinking twice? A man, for instance? That means the doctor wants to know whether she is in love with somebody. A man, said Sue, with a Jew's harp tongue in her voice. That means she became utterly surprised hearing about a man. Is a man worth? But no, doctor, there is nothing of the kind. So, well, it is weakness then, said the doctor. I'll do all the science for as it may filter through my efforts can accomplish. But whenever my patient begins to count the carriages in her funeral procession, I subtract 50% from the curative powers of medicine. So the doctor repeats again that if anybody does not want to live, then it is beyond any human beings to make another person live. If you will get her to ask one question about the new winter styles in cloak sleeves, I will promise you 1 in a 5 chance for her instead of 1 in a 10. So the doctor says again that if she gets interested, if Sue can make Johnsy interested in fashion, then her chances of surviving will be increased. After the doctor had gone, Sue went into the workroom and cried a Japanese napkin to a pulp. Japanese napkin in Indian equivalent, it may be a kind of towel, and as she was crying, that makes that napkin a pulp, because she has rubbed her eyes with this napkin. Then she swaggered into Johnsy's room with her drawing board, whistling ragtime. So whistling ragtime means she entered into Johnsy's room whistling while she was crying behind, because she does not want to present herself as a nervous one before her ailing friend Johnsy. Johnsy lay, scarcely making a ripple under bedclothes. So Johnsy was lying on her bed. She was not saying anything. She does not move even in her bed. She was lying and she was rather immersed in her own world, and for that matter, there was no ripple, no wave on her bed. With her face toward the window, Sue stopped whistling, thinking she was asleep. Sue had actually stopped whistling because she thought that she was asleep. So she arranged her board and began a pen and ink drawing to illustrate a magazine story. So she was actually doing a commercial work because she is not an established artist, and for that matter she had to earn her livelihood by doing this type of commercial jobs. Now young artists, this is now the author is going to make a comment. Young artists must pave their way to art by drawing pictures for magazine stories that young authors write to pave their way to literature. So one day, in course of writing, the young artists, the young authors will be established one day, and they need not bother. They need not bother about catering to the popular taste after that period of time, but not before that. As Sue was not an established artist right now, she had to earn her livelihood by all these means. So this is a kind of authorial comment here we have found. So as Sue was sketching a pair of elegant horse riding trousers and a monocle of the figure of the hero, an Idaho cowboy, she heard a low sound several times repeated. She went quickly to the bedside. So actually what Sue was sketching during that period of time, a horse riding trousers. That means a monocle of the figure of the hero. Monocle means a kind of spectacle where there is only one side. So one-sided spectacle on the hero. So this must be a kind of very grotesque figure, so to say, she is going to paint. But this is the story of the this is for magazine, and that's why she is drawing in this way. She heard a low sound several times repeated. She went quickly to the bedside. Johnson's eyes were wide open. She was looking out the window and counting backwards. So Johnsy was looking at the window and she was counting backward. 12, she said, and little later 11, and then 10, and 9, and then 8, and 7, almost together. Sue looked solicitously out of the window. Sue was actually looking out of the window. What she was counting? What was there to count? There was only a bare, dreary yard to be seen, and the blank side of the brick house 20 feet away. An old ivy vine, gnarled and decayed at the roots, climbed halfway up the brick wall. The cold breath of autumn had stricken its leaves from the vine until its skeleton branches clung almost bare to the crumbling bricks. So Johnsy was actually looking out of the window because he was counting the leaves in that ivy vine and how the leaves are actually falling because of the weather. The leaves are falling, and Johnsy has identified herself with the leaf, and that's why as Johnsy had identified herself with the leaf, that's why she is thinking in this way that with the falling of the last leaf, she will also die. This may sound very strange, but we should always remember that she is a sensitive artist, and for a sensitive artist, this is quite natural. She has identified herself with the leaves which are falling one by one. Now, what is a tear? Asked Sue. 6. So there is a complete communication gap. You can easily understand as Sue was asking what she was thinking. but she is actually immersed in her own world. She is plunged into her own world, and for that matter she is answering in this way. 6. She is actually counting backwards, said Chauncey in almost a whisper. They are falling faster now. 3 days ago there were almost 100. It made my head ache to count them, but now it is easy. There goes another. There are only 5 left now. So, there are only 5 leaves left in that vine, and Sue is thinking with the fall of the last leaf, she will also die. 5 what, dear? Tell your Sudhi. Sudhi is an endearing term for Sue. Leaves on the ivy vine. When the last one falls, I must go too. I have known that for 3 days. Didn't the doctor tell you? Oh, I have never heard of such nonsense. To a common people, it is nothing but a nonsense. It is nothing but a nonsensical thought. To you and me, it is nothing but a nonsensical thought. How can it be that whenever the last leaf will fall, one person will also die? How can one identify herself with the leaves of the ivy vine? Complained Sue with magnificent scorn. What have old ivy leaves to do with your getting well? And you used to love that vine so. You naughty girl, don't be goosey, don't be silly, don't be foolish here. Why, the doctor told this morning that your chances for getting well are soon are. Let's see exactly what he said. He said that the chances are 10 to 1. Why? That is almost as good a chance as we have been in New York when we ride on the street cars or walk past a new building. It is true. Actually, Sue is saying that it is true. The doctor has said that the doctor had actually said that she has 1 chance in 10, but this is any person may die at any time. Suppose you are riding in a car and one accident occurred, then you may die at any time. Or you are just going by a building which is newly constructed. In this case also, you may die at any time. Try to take some broth now and let Sudhi go back to her drawing so she can sell the editor man with it and buy port wine for her sick child and pork chops for her greedy self. So actually Sue is saying that she will have to get back to her work, otherwise she will not be paid, and for that matter she will not be able to take care of Chauncey properly. She needs the money. You need not get any more wine, as it is already said, she has lost her zest for life, and for that matter she does not need any wine, said Chauncey, keeping her eyes fixed out of the window. There goes another. No, I don't want any broth. Broth means actually a kind of soup. So she does not want any broth or soup also. That leaves just 4. I want to see the last one fall before it gets dark. Then I will go too. Chauncey dear, said Sue, bending over her, will you promise me to keep your eyes closed and not look out of the window until I am done working? So will you please shut up your mouth and will you just close your eyes? I must hand those drawings by tomorrow. I need the light, or I would draw the set down. Couldn't you draw in the other room? Asked Chauncey coldly. I'd rather be here by you. I should be with you right now, and that's why I've chosen this room. Otherwise I could have easily gone to the other room and painted, said so. Besides, I don't want you to keep looking at those silly ivy leaves. So, we have seen that in this portion of the story, we have seen that Chauncey has totally identified herself with the last sleep. Now, in this regard, I would like to tell you that there is a theory called objective correlative, which is propounded by T.S. Eliot. He has actually theorized it in this way that sometimes we identify ourselves, or in art or in literature, sometimes sometimes to make the readers understand the internal feelings of a person, or internal feelings of the protagonist, or for that matter any character. The writers sometimes take resort to some external object. So in this case, the last sleep here has become an objective correlative for John C's death consciousness, because the author has taken resort to the symbol of the last sleep. I had told you in my previous video that symbolism is one main feature of short story, and in this case the last sleep has become an objective correlative for John C's death consciousness, or John C's thought over death. Death is like the falling of the last sleep. That's why this comparison. In my next video, I'll discuss the next portion of the story, The Last Sleep. So much for this video. Thank you. So stay tuned to my channel for more videos.